Good day to you. I'm Danilo Evangelista, and welcome to our Tropical Weather Outlook video for today, August 10th, 2025, Sunday. Today's tropical weather discussion, we're going to talk about Invest 97L, which is increasingly organizing and is very likely now to become a tropical system in the Atlantic and probably maybe only a tropical depression within the next few days because of how organizing is quickly how quickly it is organizing. And this is once again going to be something that we're going to be watching for a long time. And I'll show you with the National Hurricane Center their latest tropical weather outlook, which was actually as of 9:35 this morning, because they did an updated tropical weather outlook on 97L because of the fact that it is organizing quite a bit this morning. In fact, I'll read you the text updated. Obviously, as of 9:35, recent received satellite-derived wind data indicate that a well-defined low-pressure system has formed about midway between the west coast of Africa and the Cabo Verde Islands, with maximum winds of about 35 miles per hour. Although the associated shower and thunderstorm activity still lacks some organization, only a small increase in the organization could lead to the formation of a tropical depression before the low moves near or across the Cabo Verde Islands tonight and on Monday. Regardless of development, locally heavy rainfall and gusty winds are possible today and Monday across the Cabo Verde Islands, and of course they need to watch that. And then beyond that, we're just going to have to see how it progresses through the MDR over the next week and probably longer than that. And then we have Invest 96L, which is still something we're monitoring right now. Only at a 20% chance of development, though, but this still might have a shot of trying to organize briefly while in the subtropics, but this will stay well away from the coast, well out to sea in the Atlantic, and obviously will probably not be of any major impact at all, and it'll probably stay weak as well, so no need to really worry about 96L. And then really quickly, let's go on to the Eastern Pacific, just to recap what's going on there right now. And there's nothing much. We have Tropical Storm Ivo, which is on its way out, weakening. It's probably going to dissipate very soon, so nothing to worry with that. Henriette, which is 60 miles per hour right now, strengthening, and I'll show you the latest National Hurricane Center forecast, probably on its way to becoming a hurricane, and then we'll continue to move off to the northwest, so Hawaii doesn't need to worry about Henriette. So if you're in Hawaii, no need to pay attention to this, except probably some swells and higher tides, which obviously if you are a surfer you'll probably like, but obviously rip currents and high surf is dangerous, especially if you are not careful. So please keep in mind of that. And then this is going to move off to the northwest and probably die out sometime mid next week, but nothing much else to talk about when it comes to Henriette or anywhere else. All eyes are on Invest 97L right now. That is the biggest player when it comes to the tropics, or at least I think that will be the biggest player over the next week. Here's a satellite image of Invest 97L right now in the far eastern Atlantic, and you can see already has a vigorous circulation with it, already has a well-defined low-level center. The biggest thing that's stopping it from developing right now, today, is the fact that obviously convective activity is still somewhat disorganized. This is generally over the eastern Atlantic. Sea surface temperatures are not as warm out here, or at least not yet. But this is already very organized. This is a vigorous tropical wave, and regardless, is going to bring lots of impacts to the Cabo Verde Islands with heavy rain and gusty winds. In fact, they're already dealing with it right now, and very rarely do we talk about potential impacts of a tropical system to the Cabo Verde Islands, because very rarely do we have storms form this far east, but it's looking more and more likely that that might happen with 97L as it's getting organized very quickly today. I'll show you the 850 millibar vorticity map, and you can see all the way out here in the far eastern Atlantic. And unfortunately, I mean, I honestly could have gotten a better map to show you 97L more clearly, but you could already see very strong vorticity signature associated with it. So this has the low-level center, and this has the amount of vorticity needed in the lower levels, 850 millibar. I mean, that is pretty much the lower levels. Still, relatively high in the atmosphere from the surface, but within the lower levels of the atmosphere. And I'll even show you the ASCAT, the latest ASCAT pass from this morning. And there it is. You can pretty much see already has a nearly closed low-level center. And if this were to have just a little bit more convection, just like the National Hurricane Center said, they probably would already designate this as a tropical depression. But obviously, convection not too organized yet, but the structure, the base of the system, the low-level center is already there. And this is only going to develop further as we head into the next week out throughout the entire Eastern Atlantic. In fact, if this only organizes a little bit more today and we have a tropical depression like by tonight or tomorrow, this probably will be the first extremely long track storm. And I mean extremely long track, because let me bring you back here to the National Hurricane Center map really quickly. And you see their entire development area literally stretches throughout the entire MDR, literally all the way till just north of the islands. So quite a very large area of which this could develop, and especially if this develops in the immediate short-term future, quite a long time of watching that we will have to do with this system as it traverses the MDR over the next week. So as I've told you, get ready for a very long week of tracking ahead, and I've been saying that would be the case for the last few days. And obviously, with sea surface temperatures very warm throughout the entire MDR, obviously, but the sea surface temperature anomalies are warmest and most above normal, especially the further west you head. Right now in the Eastern Atlantic, things are a little bit more closer to normal, although you actually have a few of these warm anomalies right off the west coast of Africa. So that's pretty much to say that this will probably not organize too quickly in the short-term future, although if it does organize somehow very quickly in the short-term future, I think that will just be a testament to how vigorous this wave is. And it also had quite a bit of convection this morning. So we'll see what happens, and we'll especially see as this traverses further west. I mentioned yesterday the environment further west is absolutely nuclear, and pretty much all of the models indicate that, and current environmental conditions as well also indicate not just further west, but the immediate environment over 97L. You could just already see lots of moisture, has a much bigger moisture bubble, not like 96L, which is roughly right here. You could see has a little bit of moisture with it, but is surrounded by lots of dry air. And we still have a little bit of dry air in the general MDR right now, because obviously it's still early August. And that's also quite unusual about 97L. This is probably going to develop in the MDR pretty quickly in early August, and we've not had that in a while. And you could already see, as I've said a few days ago, the environment already in the Eastern Atlantic, as part of this MJO that's moving through, is already being prepped. Things are already more favorable, especially compared to when we were watching 96L in the MDR. So this is going to be a very long period of tracking coming up here in the next week, and we're going to have to watch to see what happens, because at least for most of the next week, this wave will probably be moving westward across the tropical Atlantic, and then once it gets further west enough that we get around the islands, still lots of uncertainty with what's going to happen with this wave right now. But as you can see, most of the models, especially as we get towards the end of the next week, they start showing a little bit more of a northerly turn. And at least most of the models for now take 97L out to sea. There are a few model runs from the GFS and the Euro, especially the Euro. I think it's the Euro AI that love just absolutely taking this system on a beeline, crashing into the East Coast. But that's within 7 to 10 days out right now. And really, honestly, the cutoff for really having a solid idea on the track is around 5 days. That's really only how far the National Hurricane Center goes out. So honestly, when it comes to the track, I wouldn't really pay attention to too much beyond 5 days. And right now, you could see generally even within the next 5 days, we still are well within the MDR and really not even that further west yet. So bottom line, what I mentioned with that, or what I'm trying to mention with that, is there's lots of uncertainty and there's lots of time to be tracking this wave. But one thing that is probably not too uncertain of, one thing that a lot of the models are definitely agreeing, and there's definitely a lot of consensus from pretty much everybody that this is probably going to become a pretty significant storm. Pretty much almost all of the major models, you see both of the H-Wharfs, or you have the H-Wharfs and then you have the HAFS model, the HMON only making this a weak storm, but pretty much almost every other storm beyond that, even the ships data, which I was gonna bring up earlier, but I guess I forgot to prepare it. But even the ships, all of the major models, or most of them, take this to at least a hurricane strength. In fact, most of them are not even below Category 2 strength, and even the H-Wharf and the hurricane models here, within the next 5 days, already make this a major hurricane. So this has lots of potential, and we have a lot of time to watch 97L. Again, it's going to be a very long week coming up when it comes to 97L, and I'll show you the GFS model. Definitely develops pretty quickly here. Seems like the GFS develops this within the next 48 hours, and it kind of struggles a little bit to develop it immediately. So I guess, the fact that it has a low-level center right now probably will remain that way, but I guess with convective activity, not going to organize too much. Again, sea surface temperatures, at least in the far eastern Atlantic, are somewhat cooler right now, but as you can see, this starts progressing westward, and the further west it goes, just more and more over time, it gets stronger and stronger. And at least on this run of the GFS on the 12Z, you could see the high pressure is definitely in a position where it will not be strong enough to bring this super far west, that this will probably end up going, towards the East Coast and maybe the Bahamas. So I guess that's a good thing, especially for hurricane trackers, being able to track a powerful hurricane, but it ends up being a recurver. And I will say, this is going to be the first time in a while, if this scenario does play out, that we're going to have a early August storm that develops and ends up recurving out in the MDR. Been a while, a very long while, since we've had that type of setup. But again, this is getting towards the week time frame. And beyond 7 days, even beyond 5 days, once again, you really cannot be certain of much of anything. In fact, let me take you to the past few model runs just to see how much difference there probably is between the GFS. So here's the latest 12Z for 7 days out. Here's the 6Z model run, already several hundred miles to the southwest. And then the 0Z run was not that different. The 18Z, also somewhat in the same place, and then the 12Z somewhat in the same place as well. So I guess there's not that much of an actual difference that there's been, but at least the trend today, at least with the 12Z, they kind of indicate a little bit more of some sort of low pressure here. I want to do that. That's in the eastern, that's in the western Atlantic. That'll probably scoop this thing off and eventually turn it out to sea. But that's only this model run. And again, just a lot can change. But the biggest key that I want you to notice is the further west it goes, just look at how the model blossoms it. And it's not just the Euro, or it's not just the GFS, but even the Euro too. And you know what? I'll stick with the 6Z run, because, actually, really, we shouldn't be going out that far anyways. But pretty much also with the Euro as well. I guess both the Euro and the GFS are now kind of in lockstep with each other and showing that we'll probably see development out of this within the next 24 to 36 hours. So expect another tropical depression here in the Atlantic very soon. And then we're going to have to watch this as this traverses west throughout the MDR for the next few days. And then eventually, as we get towards the end of next week, this will probably be just north of the islands and probably strengthening into a pretty powerful hurricane by then. And I do say that it'll probably be a pretty powerful hurricane because sea surface temperature anomalies are very warm. The upper level environment is going to be very warm, and pretty much all of the models I just showed you, both the Euro and the GFS, and also all the other major models, intensity-wise, agree that this will probably be a pretty significant hurricane as this traverses west throughout the next week. So lots of tracking to do here over the next week. And of course, if you want to be a part of it, please, I recommend that you subscribe to this channel. Like this video if you found it informative and you like what you saw today. And share this video with family and friends as well, and maybe anybody who might be interested in tropical weather. Make sure to send this video their way. And watch the tropics very closely. I said that as we got to this time, August 10th, around this time, especially, getting into August and conditions where we're going to become more favorable, this was all going to happen. We were going to start seeing these waves. And now we are here, and we are starting to see the fruits of all of the activity come together. And this is just the beginning. It's literally only August 10th. We are not even within the halfway point of August yet. And we still have a long way to go, long time before things begin to really ramp up. I mean, they are already ramping up, but the peak of the season doesn't begin till August 20th, technically. And you can just imagine we have probably more activity that's going to come behind 97 now. This is just the beginning. With that being said, I'm going to end it off for today's video. Hope you enjoyed what you saw today. And again, I'll be back with more tomorrow, and I'll definitely be back with more every single day throughout this upcoming week. So please stay tuned for that. And I'll see you soon.